Chapter 4. It is Saturday night, and Crooks is alone in his room when Lenny appears in the door. At first Crooks sends Lenny away, but eventually a conversation ensues in which Lenny says he came into the barn to see his pups, and Crooks warns Lenny that he is taking the pups from the nest too much. Lenny's disarming smile finally warms Crooks, and he lets Lenny stay and talk. During their conversation, Lenny reveals the secret about the farm, which Crooks initially thinks Lenny is making up. Crooks also prods Lenny about his relationship with George, and scares Lenny by suggesting that George might not come back. The more George presses Lenny, the more Lenny becomes scared and upset. As Lenny circles dangerously close to Crooks, Crooks realizes the danger he is in, and gently calms Lenny down, explaining that George is not hurt and that he was just supposing. Crooks then talks about his own loneliness. Candy then appears and talks with Lenny about the rabbits. Crooks interrupts and says they are kidding themselves about this farm because George is in town spending their money at a whorehouse, exclaiming that the money is actually in the bank. Candy describes their farm, where couldn't nobody throw him off it. Crooks asks to join their venture and says that he would work very hard and for no pay if they would accept him. Just then, Curly's wife appears in the doorway, claiming that she is looking for Curly and complaining that she just wants somebody to talk to. Candy says accusingly that she has a husband and she should not be fooling around with other men. When Curly's wife protests that Curly doesn't spend time with her and hates everyone else and just talks about fighting, she suddenly remembers Curly's smashed hand and asks what happened to it. Candy tells her twice that Curly caught it in a machine, but she doesn't believe him. Lenny watches her, fascinated, and Crooks keeps very quiet. Finally, Candy tells her to go away because she is not wanted in the barn. She will get them fired, he adds, and they don't need to hit the highway yet because they have other ideas, like getting their own place. At this revelation, Curly's wife laughs at the men and says it will never happen. Before she leaves, she asks Lenny where he got the bruises on his face. Guiltily, Lenny says Curly got his hand caught in a machine. When she continues to talk to Lenny, Crooks tells her she has no right in his room and that he is going to tell the boss to keep her out. Curly's wife threatens Crooks with lynching. When Candy says that he and Lenny would tell on her for framing Crooks, she counters by saying no one will listen to the old swamper. The four then hear noise in the yard and realize the men are returning. Curly's wife tells Lenny she is glad he busted up Curly a bit, and then she leaves. George appears, and Candy admits that he told Crooks about the farm. It is evident that George is not happy, and so the defeated Crooks tells Candy to forget his offer to help with the hoeing and doing any of the odd jobs.